Morning everyone, and thanks for tuning in again. It's been a few days since we reported on where we believed the furlough situation and the government support for employees and employers last was, and there are a number of clarifications that have come out since that time. The most important one probably is to do with the actual claiming of the furlough grant itself and the mechanism that will take to actually get the money into your bank. We have this morning had confirmation from HMRC that they are expecting to have the portal up and running by the 20th of April, which is a good 10 days before their self-imposed deadline. So I think they have to be congratulated on working at unprecedented speed to get this out there to people. It does indicate how seriously this is being taken. The Revenue have also indicated what information will be required in order to make a claim for employee support during this period, and it's relatively straightforward. You will need to have your pay-as-you-earn reference number. Now this, we believe, is simply your pay-as-you-earn reference number, but it does indicate the requirement for each individual employer to have their online pay-as-you-earn processing scheme available and uploaded. This is accessed through the government gateway, and for most of our clients will already be set up, but for some it may not. The Revenue have also advised that payroll bureaus such as ourselves should be able to complete these claims on behalf of their clients, as long as we are full payroll bureau suppliers and not simply e-filers. This is something that we're looking at to make sure that is the case for all our recently set up payrolls. We would believe it to be true, but for some that were done in the very early days, we may have a tweak on that. If you are in any doubt as to whether you have your online pay-as-you-earn scheme registered and fully operational, please go on through the gateway and check that you have. It's a relatively straightforward process, I'm told, although I haven't done it myself. And as with all these things, I'm sure there will be a number of different things that we have to do. We're here to help, but please have a go at getting yourself confirmed as on the e-pay-as-you-earn system as soon as possible. If registration is required, it could take up to 10 days. We don't want people to be finding this out at or around the 20th of April when they could by then be making claims. The other information that will be required for a claim to be submitted is the number of employees being furloughed, the start and end date of the claim period, the amount being claimed, the bank account number and sort code for the bank that the payment is made into, a contact name and a telephone number. All of which is relatively straightforward, and we will be able to help with the amount claimed. Even if we are not able to make the claim, we can help anyone calculate how much that claim should be. The other thing that's happened over the last few days really is that a number of areas where we were using our experience of similar situations and generally dealing with regulators to come up with how we thought rules would be interpreted have now been clarified. Pleased to say that in most cases what we believed to be the right interpretation has now been confirmed. There are a number of specific things which I think are definitely worth a mention at this stage. The first issue is what the maximum claim could be. That has now been confirmed as £2,500 per month plus associated employers' NI and auto-enrolment pension contributions. That's very welcome news, as initially we believed that £2,500 in total may have been the claim. So just to confirm, that's a maximum claim of £2,500 plus employers' NI and auto-enrolment pensions. The next area that was a practical solution put in place by some of our clients and about which we were not certain was the idea that people could be furloughed for a 3-week period and then re-employed, taken out of furlough in order to carry out some functions that have been stored up for that period of time. and then when that work was complete, be placed back on furlough again. It has now been confirmed that that approach is acceptable and is a very sensible solution to a reduction in amount of work. One of the things that we do think will be required is that each time a person in that process is being furloughed, we think you will have to go through the process of getting their agreement. That shouldn't be a difficult task, having been through it previously, but it's just to make sure that procedurally you don't fall down on not going through the right process. Relating to the part-time furloughing of staff, the 3 weeks off, 1 week on type of arrangement, it's important to note that any furlough claim made will be reduced on a pro rata basis for the amount of the pay period that staff were on furlough. So if we were talking about a 4-week pay period and staff were furloughed for 3 weeks and worked for 1 week, then the amount of the claim will be reduced to 3/4 of their salary calculated in the normal way, with the normal maximums being reduced on the same pro rata basis. Regarding furloughing of staff, one of the issues that has come out is that it is acceptable to furlough people who have childcare issues because of other decisions and government action arising around the coronavirus situation. So you can use as a reason for furlough that your employee has childcare issues. Again, one of the questions that we were asked was whether people were allowed to do any work whilst on furlough, and we very strongly advised against that. I can now update that information. The Revenue have today issued a statement that it is a criminal offence for employers to ask their staff on furlough to carry out work. And more than that, the Revenue are asking people who are furloughed to report any employers who may be abusing the situation. So just to reiterate our advice, do not encourage, allow or request your staff to carry out any work whilst they are furloughed. Directors of family companies was an area that we touched on previously, and again we're pleased to advise that it has now been confirmed that you can furlough directors of family companies as long as the correct rules as outlined previously are followed. There has been clarification on the payment of commissions and bonuses in terms of calculating what the normal pay would be for furlough purposes, and fundamentally, while the guidance is quite detailed, it boils down to the fact that if commissions, bonuses are contractual, then they should be included in the furlough pay calculation, and if they are discretionary, then they should be excluded. Do look at the detail on this when we come to making those claims, but that's the general principle on which the rules are based. So once again, thanks for listening. That's where we believe things stand at the moment. We will put on screen a link to where more detailed guidance is for anyone who wants to look at that. If you have any specific questions, please call. We are fully operational, even though we are safe distancing all the time and carrying out all the sensible precautions. Keep safe, and we'll speak again soon.